Chapter 98. Amon and Robin were sitting inside a cafe, a fancy candle-lit cafe. It was empty, with only the pair sitting at a table in the corner. Amon has booked the whole cafe for today, since today is the last day of Robin's stubbornness. "I heard you will leave this month," Robin asked while playing with a spoon that was inside a glass in front of her. A light was hung just behind her, so she looked more dazzling than usual. Amon was in front of her. With his chin resting in his hand, a sweet smile surfaced on his face. "Yes, I was supposed to leave 7 days ago, but your Highness asked for my time." Robin giggled, hearing him. "Thank you. It means a lot." After a short silence, Amon slammed his face on the table and broke out in laughter. "Psst! Ha ha ha!" In a series of strange laughter, Amon raised his head. "Don't start thanking me now. It feels weird coming from you. I'm all yours after all." He kept chuckling at her. Robin followed suit and began to giggle while covering her mouth. "Ha!" Amon stared at her with dreamy eyes. "Though, as you are aware, there are some lines you should not cross." He recalled the time where he wanted to slap her. "It's good that you understand, Nico Robin." Then, Robin stood up and leaned towards Amon. "Today's the 7th day. We didn't do it the whole week." Robin's face took a red hue. Her lips bobbled up and down before she finally uttered those words. "The cafe is empty." Amon, after staying silent for a second, beamed, revealing his white teeth. "Rumble! Rumble!" The sky was dark. Purple lightning was dancing everywhere. No birds were flying in the sky, they just simply couldn't do it. This was a location existing outside the food chain. However, although this place does look like one where no one would be able to survive, let alone reside, a small number of people wearing white robes do live here. Why do they live here? Nobody knows. Maybe they lost everything in their life and decided to end themselves by the hand of Mother Nature, but ultimately decided to stay behind for maybe another decade. People could only guess. Indeed, this was the Reborn Island, one of the 3 islands the log pose would point to after entering the New World. Today, a figure wearing loose cloth was walking towards the middle of the island, while also enduring the lightning strike's clash on his bare skin. He seemed pained, but it was a miracle in itself how he was still alive without those handy metal umbrellas. Not only that, surprisingly, the purple lightning that was coming from the sky was being repelled by white lightning coming out of the young man's body. Fuck, this hurts. Amon has died once. He returned from the death's door twice. He has felt a lot of pain, but this still hurt, as if his skin was being pulled, while salt and spices were being massaged onto his wounds. Gritting his teeth through the pain, Amon walked through the island while his own white-blue lightning was repelling the natural ones. Just a second before the purple lightning hit, Amon let out his own lighting and connected one end to the ground while another end to the purple ones, thus altering the path of the strikes to the ground. Among all this pain, enduring, and strategies, Amon couldn't even fly properly in this place. Do I still want to try this? It was a pointless question. He was here after all. It would hurt, he might die even, but a man's got to do what a man's got to do. Shaking away the thoughts, Amon walked towards the middle of the island. The intensity of lightning was most there. Even the few people who lived on this island with the help of a metal umbrella avoided this place. After Amon spent his 7th day with Robin, he decided to come to Reborn Island the first thing he got up in the morning, though he did come here after preparing food for her. She seemed happy seeing food already there for her just after she got up from sleep. Alas, she didn't know that the man who prepared the food for her was in severe danger, a danger where he walked into by himself. "Ah! Crack rumble! For fuck's sake!" Amon was standing in the middle of Reborn Island. His hands shook as lightning was hitting him constantly. Looking at the sky where even the clouds were purple, Amon gulped and mumbled something before slipping his hand in his pocket. He hesitated a little to move his finger. Just a millimeter ahead, the small piece of sea stone was resting. He knew, the moment his fingers touch, that he will lose all his devil fruit powers. His life will be truly endangered then. Fa! Amon took a deep breath in and closed his eyes. He opened them with a do-or-die look in them. If he dies, he dies. But if he doesn't die, he gets everything. He hypnotized himself to believe everything after this would be sweet. It wasn't sure if his statement was true or not, but one thing was for sure: this experience won't be sweet at all. Chanting his own name in his mind, Amon then cracked his neck lightly before instantly grabbing the stone in his pocket. For a second, he felt the life leave his body. He fell to his knees with a thud sound. Cough! Amon started to breathe heavily. Maybe this is how Superman feels in front of kryptonite. Chuckling at why he had this thought, Amon then looked at the sky. It was strange, lightning wasn't striking him anymore. Looks like I was right, my Logia body was the reason why lightning always struck me. It was attractive to... Crack. He was right. His Logia body did attract the lightning to him. However, that didn't mean lightning won't strike him anymore. Rumble. A large no. The largest lightning that Amon had seen until now rushed towards him. A strike that big? Will I one day be able to make one? Amon smiled at the strike. Right now it's just a dream. He couldn't follow its movement since his speed was severely lowered, but it was indeed coming. He confirmed that this wasn't just a terrible nightmare with his observation. Zzz, it wasn't a nightmare. Zja, it was something worse. The lightning strike hit Amon, but Amon had already turned ink black by coating himself in armament. Luckily, he can repel the lightning to an extent, however. That was not the point. If he repels the lightning, then it's all useless. He has to let the lightning hit him, touch his skin and burn it. Releasing a breath, Amon uncovered himself while the strong strike was still raining down at him. It was fascinating how a bolt of single lightning can strike for more than 20 seconds. Rumble. That wasn't the end. As more lightning rushed towards him, all of them were attracted by the big bolt. Rumble, rumble. Oh fuck. Can I endure it? It was a terrible question. It was stupid to even ask it at this moment, because obviously he can't endure it. Zzz. Boom. As if a natural El Thor had struck, Amon was shocked largely. His body barely survived the heat, since he has trained against temperature years ago. Zzz. Amon was left staggering on his feet while being struck. But when it ended, he was laying in the ground, unknown of his living state. Rumble. But the lightning island was still alive, hitting his lying body. At one point, even smoke started to come out of his body. Plus, on one side of the island, there stood a small building with metal covering it. It worked like a Faraday fence, so the people inside could live fine. This is where the people in white robe lived. Rumble. A little far from there, a strange sight was to behold. Sigh. Such a stubborn child. An old lady was walking through the island full of lightning, with only a metal umbrella in her hand being used as a cheat. It's been a long time since someone tried this method. Haha, I feel so old now. In canon, she gave Uruj an umbrella the time he came to the island. She does that to everyone who comes here. She even gave it to Amon until she found that he is the current bearer of Goro Goro no Mi, an old lady who helps people with umbrellas. What's her goal? Ha ha ha. Looks like we will meet soon enough. Ah, this nostalgia. Unfortunately, she won't be alive to reveal her true goal to the world. Robin didn't expect Amon to not return after that day. It's already been a month. He said he will leave last month, but it's already January 1516. She was stressed out and worried. There was literally no news about him. I don't think he left for the moon by himself, but that fact is not improbable. If that's the case, I can at least rest assured. She didn't believe Amon would ever leave her currently. She also knew Amon was strong enough to hold against most people. Only the admirals and the emperors are people who stood a chance. This possibility scared her. Meeting any of them is impossible unless a series of coincidences occur. Robin looked a little dried out, but she still had her own set of beliefs about Amon. Anyway, she shakily raised her hand and directed it towards the table where 2 glasses filled with liquid stood. She hesitated before going towards the left glass. But just before she touched it, she again changed her direction and grabbed the right glass. Let's not drink the lemon now. Mango juice is good. Saying such, She started to gulp down the juice that is produced in the sky. It was the brand of Shandians. Suddenly, a sweet tone mumbled in her ears. "I'm touched." Robin instantly turned her head as her lips touched something similarly soft. She stared in front in that position as she locked her hand on that person's shoulders. "I was so worried." She gently widened her lips. In response, the mysterious figure, Amon, did the same. Robin didn't question where he was last month or what happened to him. She simply didn't care if he didn't want to tell. "Robin, let's go." Psass. Hours later, Skypiean. Sniff. Raki hugged the person in front of her with tears falling down. "You bastard, you left me alone. I thought you tricked me and went to the moon alone." The tears in her eyes were simply selfish, though. She wasn't worried about him at all. Amon was invincible after all. He might lie about being a god, but she couldn't say something proving that wrong. Sensing the emotions deep inside her, Amon stroked her hair gently. Sorry. It's my fault I was suddenly caught off guard." He indeed was caught off guard. He still couldn't believe what had happened back then. Among the many things he came across this month, one thing was for sure. Life return was disgustingly overpowered. Ignoring the thoughts, Reiki swiftly cancelled the hug and ran towards the bike beside them. Currently, a few people were gathered on the rooftop of the shrine. Amon was preparing to leave. "You, again." Among the few people, Issa had a frown on her face. She was seemingly displeased with this plan of his. "First 2 years, now for 4 years. Is this a joke? Tell me you are joking, right, kid?" She gently gave Issa the little child, Karna. Then, with a frown, she started to walk towards Amon, with her hands going towards his ear. "Kid, don't think just because you are tall you look intimidating." Issa was 1.8 meters, while Amon was currently 2.1 meters. She started to twirl Amon's ears hard. Amon stayed silent with a straight face. "Wahaha." After a few seconds, he laughed out loud and grabbed Issa by the waist and started to spin her mid-air. "You are so cold-hearted, Auntie Issa. I just returned a month later, yet you are like this." Issa didn't try to struggle and just stared at his face deadpan. "Put me down, kid." "Okay." After a short silence from both sides, Amon put her down. Yona, Issa, Robin and Wiper, who was also present there, stayed silent while looking at the scene strangely. Robin nudged Yona beside her. "I thought Issa was his aunt." Yona didn't answer and smiled wryly. Minutes later, Amon was in the seat of the bike and Raki was sitting behind. She didn't show any sign of sadness that she's going away for 4 years. Issa stayed completely silent. From a few meters away from the bike, she looked at Amon. Little Amon. Amon, who was playing with the touchpad, looked back. "Be careful. You said there are strange creatures up there last time. Don't die." Amon stared at Issa for a while before smiling slightly. He looked away. "Fine, I will be careful." Hearing him, Issa felt reassured and also glanced at Raki. "Also, don't touch her before she's 16. Show some morals. You married an 8-year-old, I didn't say anything, but don't touch Raki, she's 13. Amon chuckled lightly while Raki's face went red. She finally realized something. We are going to be alone in the moon. Unfortunately for her, dying of hunger is the only thing she's going to live with." Amon didn't say anything. He simply had grown too much to even care, although he did enjoy his time with Issa genuinely, although this was a lot more duration than the previous trip, but he could tell this trip will keep him busy all day to even feel homesick. Zzz. Lighting started to swirl around the bike as the lid at the top closed itself. The silver bike seemingly glowed and got covered by ink-black armament. Vroom! After roaring once, the bike started to vibrate slightly. Before leaving, Amon gave a last glance to Wiper. Wiper just nodded silently. He is to look after things when Amon is gone. They had a man-to-man talk before. Vroom! Roaring another time in front of everyone's eyes, the bike teleported 16 kilometers away, going towards the moon at an intense speed. Raki, prepare yourself. Amon would just teleport since traveling at that speed through the air might cause a nuclear explosion. This is why this bike is a weapon. Vroom. Amon streamed selectivity through the bike in the air. Raki hugged him tightly from the back. 255 million volts, Godspeed. Yes, 255 million volts.